A few days ago, I had the privilege of presenting something of a commentary for our local primary school's sports day. It's a role that I've undertaken for many, many years, though I can't altogether remember when or how it began, other than that it would have been whilst I was serving as a governor of the school some years past. Well, it's not something which I take particularly seriously, inasmuch as I see my role as trying to make the whole event slightly more entertaining than it might otherwise be, were one to be faced with numerous races of a similar nature, only occasionally starring one's own offspring, but without commentary. Over the years, I've undertaken some most rewarding research, uncovering some of those sort of trivial details which, without which our lives might be somewhat the poorer. For example, did you know that the egg and spoon race originated as a late 19th century gentleman's sport, becoming popular with children during village celebrations in 1897, celebrations held to commemorate Queen Victoria's Diamond Jubilee? Just under 100 years later, in 1990, a runner completed the London Marathon in 3 hours 47 minutes whilst carrying a dessert spoon on which an uncooked egg was balanced for the duration of the race. The record for the fastest mile egg and spoon race was smashed by Stefan Riet from Germany on the 14th of September 2013 in just 5 minutes 27 seconds. Fancy that. And some rather paltry news from a little under 2 years ago. Cornish-based St. Hugh free-range eggs were awarded the Guinness World Record for the world's longest egg and spoon race, having broken the record, and not any eggs, in July 2023 by walking 300 miles of Cornwall's iconic coastline over 5 days, with eggs and spoons in hands. And the sack race, well, that's even older than the egg and spoon race, dating back to the late 18th century. Considered a serious sport by the late 19th century, it even became an Olympic event in the 1904 Games in St. Louis, and I've no idea why they stopped it. The fastest 1 mile sack race was run, or hopped, in just under 17 minutes in Mongolia on the 19th of May 2007, and the fastest 100 metres sack race is just a hop under 26 seconds, with the third fastest time recorded by none other than Mo Farah in July 2014. Not a lot of people know that. But, of course, enough of such trivialities. Being positioned, as I was, rather close to the finishing line, I was able to observe a number of anomalies which gave me occasion for something to think about, and which brought to mind a fairly well-known passage from an unknown writer of nearly 2,000 years ago. Here's what he wrote. Therefore, since we are surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses, let us also lay aside every weight and sin which clings so closely, and let us run with endurance the race that is set before us, looking to Jesus, the founder and perfecter of our faith, who, for the joy that was set before him, endured the cross, despising the shame, and is seated at the right hand of the throne of God. Isn't that a remarkable text, if ever there was one? And you'll find it at the beginning of the 12th chapter of what we know as the book of Hebrews, towards the end of the New Testament scriptures. The writer has just enumerated a veritable number of individuals, both men and women, who were to be commended for their faith. And theirs was a faith known not only by words, but by the things which they accomplished. By faith, including those who suffered mocking and flogging, and even chains and imprisonment. They were stoned, they were sawn in two, they were killed with the sword, and all of these lived and died by faith, believing not only that God is, but that he is always true to his word. And now, he says, being surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses, we should run with endurance the race that is set before us. The idea seems to be, okay, so seeing as we are surrounded by so many who lived their lives by faith, and who did so often in the face of intense suffering, let us essentially do the same. The thing is, faith is generally most evident when we are facing difficulties or challenges or times of uncertainty. It can hardly be said to be tested when everything appears to be in clear sight, where there may seem to be no doubt as to the outcome of any particular situation. But faith is tested, and may be sorely tested, when a simple observation of any situation might suggest a less than favourable outcome. We do not do by faith that which we have always done before, but we do by faith that which may well appear to others to be quite out of the ordinary and maybe even absurd. Therefore, since we are surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses. Initially, this passage takes us into an arena in which we are to run in a race. We'll learn something of the preparation for the race in a moment, but this great cloud of witnesses intrigues me. Are we to see them as spectators in an arena? Of course, this is just a picture, but I generally see them like this, as spectators in the crowd filling the stadium. I'm not saying that those who lived before by faith are actually sitting or standing watching us or cheering us on, as it were, but they are certainly witnesses to the possibilities of the life of faith, as one writer said, and as such, they should provide us with immense encouragement. Their presence is a testimony to a life lived by faith. So, in that sense, it might be said that they are cheering us on. And so, in the picture being painted by the text, I think they are seen as a crowd or a cloud of spectators who are very much on our side. And then comes some instruction, both positive and negative, as to how we should prepare for running in the race. First, there is the negative. Let us also lay aside every weight and sin which clings so closely. As I watched the children race the other day, there were one or two who were running whilst wearing a cardigan or a jacket of some sort, and as it flapped about in the wind, I couldn't help but think how much this must be slowing them down. Not that they were necessarily about to set any sort of land speed record, you understand, but they didn't win. And then there were some wearing hats, some of which flew off halfway down the track, tempting a number to return to retrieve them before finishing their race, and, well, needless to say, they didn't win either. Well, apart from being highly entertaining, it was also potentially rather educational, along the lines of our anonymous ancient writer. We simply need to rid ourselves of everything that might get in the way, and having got rid of whatever it might be, we certainly don't want to be chasing after it again. And yet that is exactly what some of us might do. You know, in our more sober moments, as it were, we might decide to give up something or stop doing whatever it might be that has been getting in the way of our pursuit of God, only to find ourselves running back to our old habits when faced with difficulties or times of testing. And we might ask ourselves over and over again, when will I learn? Anything that weighs us down, anything that trips us up, anything that keeps us from living our lives solely in the pursuit of faith in Jesus, anything and everything that holds us back, we simply need to get rid of it. It's a matter of discipline. It's a matter of race preparation. It's a matter of single-minded determination. If we're going to run the race for Jesus, we need to be serious and prepare ourselves accordingly. Recently I came across a conversation between an athlete and their athletic coach. I found it quite fascinating, and it went something like this. The athlete asks the coach, "Is it really that bad if I have a drink with my friends? You know, sometimes it feels like everyone else is having fun except me." And the coach replied, "Yes, you can have a drink if you like. No one's going to stop you." So the athlete asks again, and what about smoking? You know, just every now and then, just to feel free for a moment. And the coach replied, "Yeah, you can do that too. It's your life, not mine." So the athlete keeps pursuing this. You know, sometimes I just want to be like everyone else. Go to parties, stay out all night, laugh, carry on, not worry about tomorrow. Can I do that? Absolutely, the coach said. No one can take those moments away from you. The world is full of options. Well, the conversation might have gone on a little further, but finally the athlete asks, "Then why does it feel like I can't have these things, that I can't have it both ways? Why do I feel this ache within me, like something has to give?" And the coach looked at the young athlete, and with a genuine concern he said, "Because deep down you know the truth. You can have anything, but you can't have everything. Every great dream demands something from you. You're free to enjoy every moment, every temptation, every thrill. But you are not free from the cost of those things. You can't expect to show up on the day of the race with the body, the mind, the spirit of a champion if you're not willing to sacrifice what others might choose to do. Every late night, every shortcut, every easy decision chips away at your potential. Oh, everything's permitted, but not everything is worthwhile. You need to choose. What is it that means more to you? A fleeting night or a lifelong dream? The comfort of now or the pride of forever? You cannot serve two masters. Every runner stands at this crossroads in life. The easy road is wide, full of laughter and distractions. The hard road is narrow, but it leads to places most people will never see. The finish line that you dream of, only you can decide if it's worth making the sacrifice. You choose how far you want to go. You choose whether you will look back with pride or with regret. Only you can decide what your dreams are worth. That's the cost. Only you can pay it. I like that, though I think I've heard it all before, but I do like that. To follow Jesus has always demanded that we count the cost. After speaking to his disciples of his suffering and death that was to take place in Jerusalem, Jesus said to the people, "If anyone would come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross daily and follow me. For whoever would save his life will lose it, but whoever loses his life for my sake will save it." Yes, we may do whatever we like, but if we're going to follow Jesus and pursue his ways by faith, we have no option but to deny ourselves, to say no to the things of this world that, in order that we might hear him say yes to us. He is the way. He is the truth. He is the life, and no one can find God except through him. So, back in the stadium, surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses, saying no to anything and everything which might keep us back from reaching the finishing line, we are to run with endurance the race that is set before us, looking to Jesus, the founder and perfecter of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross, despising the shame, and is seated at the right hand of the throne of God. Some of the children the other day just couldn't resist looking over their shoulder to see how far ahead they might be. And like Harold Abrahams competing against Eric Liddell in Chariots of Fire, probably the best film ever made, most of those who took their eyes off the goal were pipped for the prize of winning. So don't be overly concerned that others might be doing better than you. That's not your concern. Just keep your eyes on Jesus. Look ahead to him who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross, despising the shame, and is now seated at the right hand of the throne of God, having conquered death on behalf of us all. Isn't that amazing? May God bless each one of us with a faith that endures to the very, very end.